Good morning. Today we are working Module 5, Lesson 3 and 4, the area of acute triangles and all triangles using height and base. And we will decompose triangles to create right triangles in order to determine the altitude or height. Okay, so we're going to start by what is the difference between these two triangles? So one triangle is a right triangle as indicated by the box right here. And the other one is an acute triangle because all of the angles are less than 90 degrees. Okay, this one's close, but it's not quite 90. Who can recall what the formula is for finding the area of the triangle? And remember, area is when you're finding everything inside the shape. Okay, so what is the formula for area? Formula for area is 1/2 of the base times the height. Another word for height would also be altitude. Okay, so if we were to look at the right triangle, we can see that there's clearly a base and there's clearly a height. How about the acute triangle? Well, there is clearly a base, but there's no height. This is not height. This is not height. So what are we going to do? We are going to create a right triangle inside of the triangle. So now we have a height. Okay, so for our first example, we're going to take this acute triangle. We are going to create the height starting from the peak, the top of the triangle. So now we have a height. Okay, there's our right angle. Who can again give me the formula for area of a triangle? Area equals 1/2 base times height. Okay, so we're going to be using that a lot today. All right, now we're going to give measurements to our triangles. Okay, so our height is going to be 3 inches. And then for the base, I have 5 inches on this side and 1.5 inches on this side. Okay, now we can determine the height of or the area of our triangle by breaking it down into two separate triangles. So you would have the one on the left here, and then you would have the one on the right here. And you can do that by doing area of the left triangle is 1/2 times 5 times 3, which is 5 times 3 is 15, times 1 is still 15, so we have 15 over 2. And when we break that down, that comes to 7.5, because remember 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5, and it's inches squared. And then we can do the area of the other triangle, which is going to be 1/2 times 1.5 times 3. So now we're going to have to change that into a improper fraction. So we have 1/2 times 3/2 times 3, and that can be 3 over 1. And now, if we multiply, we have 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. And then we have 2 times 2 is 4, times 1 is still 4. So 4 over 9 equals 2 and 1/4, or as a decimal, it's 2.25 inches squared. And then to find the whole entire area, we would add the two together. We would add the 7.5 and we would add the 2.25. Okay, so that would then give us 7.5 plus 2.25 and 9. So we have 9.75 inches squared for our total area inside this triangle. Okay? All right. Now, using the formula, okay, or asking, can we use the formula area equals 1/2 base times height for all triangles? Okay? So, what we want to determine is, first of all, can we use it and how do we use it? Looking at this example, this is, just so you know, this is 15 centimeters right here. This is 17.4 centimeters. This is 12. This is 9. And this is 12.6. Okay, they're a little hard to see, so I want to make sure you knew what they were. So we could do the same thing. We could find the area like we just did with that last triangle by cutting it in half. Or we can add the bases together and do it all at once. Can we do that? I don't know. So let's go explore what happens when we do two separate triangles and then also when we put them together. So first we're going to do area equals 1/2 times 12 times 9. Okay, and I can actually make a simplification to make my multiplication a little bit easier. This 2 can become a 1, and it goes into 12 6 times. So now all we are left with is 6 times 9. So the area of the first triangle is 6 times 9, which is 54. Our unit is centimeters squared. Okay, and then the second triangle, we're going to have area equals 1/2 times 12, because that's our altitude, times 12.6. Okay, and these are both over 1, and we can do the same thing again. We can put the 2 into itself one time, and we can do 2 into 12 and make that a 6. So now we are left with 6 times 12.6. So 6 times 6 is 36. There's my decimal. We're going to carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. And 6 times 1 is 6, plus the 1 we're carrying over is going to be 7. So we're going to have 75.6 centimeters cubed. Okay, then we can add those two together. We have 54 plus 75.6, and so we have no other decimal. 4 plus 5 is 9. 5 plus 7 is 12. So we have 129.6 centimeters cubed. Now, if we just do 9 plus 12, this is the base here, 9 plus 12.6, we get 21.6 for our base, okay? So we have 21.6. So now we're going to use our formula again. We're going to do area equals 1/2, our new base, 21.6, and times our height of 12. Once again, we can take this 2 and we can take it into the 12 and make it 6. So now we're left with 21.6 times 6. Okay? 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. 6 times 2 is 12. we have 1 decimal in the top number, so we put 1 decimal in the bottom, and we have centimeters squared. Do we have 2 of the same answers? Yes, we do. So we can use that formula for each of the triangles. Okay. Now, when you have an obtuse triangle, how do you think you're going to find the height? Well, you can't draw, as we showed yesterday with the rectangle, you can't draw the altitude on the inside and the outside. So you are going to draw your altitude straight down from the peak like we did before, but it's going to be strictly on the outside. And that's going to be your height. Okay? So this is now our height. Right here. This is our base. This is our formula. Alright. So, if b equals 12 and height equals 21 feet, what is the area? So you can plug that in. 1/2 times 12 times 21. You do the same thing we did on the previous problem. And our answer is 126 feet squared. Okay, so I'm going to have you calculate the area. I have it already in here for you. Area equals 1/2 the base times the height. Which numbers are our base and our height? Our base is only going to be this part because this is the triangle, and the height is going to be this part. So the numbers we're using are going to be 8 and 24. So go ahead and calculate that. Inches squared. Okay, so hopefully you came up with 96 inches squared. And then these last three, I want you to calculate the area using the formula and the numbers included. So make sure you determine which numbers you do not need and which numbers you do need, okay, in number 1 and number 2. And we're going to use the whiteboard on the sharing screen to put the answers in.